Okay, so I had a bad day today. I had basically recorded two files on my GoPro Hero 9, went to download them onto my mobile app, and error, disconnection, error, connection lost, error, connection lost. In fact, I tried about 3 different times to actually download the files that I wanted, and I just could not do it. Now, I won't lie, this isn't the first time this has happened, and it won't be the last time. Or will it? Okay, so for those of you who may not know, GoPro actually released a brand new firmware update for the GoPro Hero 9 today. And wow, has this been a long time coming. And does it improve things? Well, actually, yes, it does. I really have to say that it does. First of all, first and foremost, right out there, the touch screen actually works. I mean, that's a huge thing with that GoPro, and if you've used it, you'll know that even after the 1.5 firmware update, using that touchscreen was still kind of a buggy thing. You had to hold it with 2 hands. You couldn't have it on a mount and, try and scroll through it because it was unresponsive. It was just terrible. But wow, after today's update, it's like a completely different camera, a completely different experience when using that touchscreen. So, for that alone, I recommend downloading the update. Another thing happens, and that is no more lost connections when I'm trying to download my video footage from the GoPro. I mean, that one is just a huge time saver. I mean, I've basically gone back and had to use the GoPro Hero 8 when I'm in a bind because I just couldn't rely on being able to download clips from the Hero 9. And I'll admit it's actually stopped me from using the Hero 9 on a couple of occasions. So that's absolutely fantastic. It's like the offload is now reliable. I can depend on it, and I'm just grateful. Now, there's also a couple of more little things that they've actually introduced with this firmware update. For instance, they say it boosts reliability with the remote control. I never had problems with the remote control, but I know some people did report issues. So if you're having problems with the remote and your GoPro Hero 9, make sure you download this update because it has some fixes in there for you. Then there was QuikCapture. A lot of people actually report it when they were using QuikCapture. They would power on their camera and they would power it off, power it on, power it off. And by about the 3rd or 4th time that they did it, QuikCapture would actually lock up the camera. Apparently this is now being fixed, as has the power on reliability, because some people experience problems just powering on the GoPro. And it also adds support for a new feature called Open GoPro. Now, this is different from GoPro Labs. Open GoPro basically means they've opened up the APIs on the camera, and now third-party developers can work with the actual GoPro and integrate it into their apps. So that's a huge thing. I mean, that's like really good for the end user, because now you'll see more app developers coming along with apps for the GoPro that can actually control the camera, give previews, and it's just going to be a huge thing. In fact, one of the things that I was actually really interested in reading here was that basically Senate Bluetooth devices can actually use the GoPro commands. So that could mean Bluetooth audio for GoPro is somewhere down the line. Now, another fantastic thing about this is that the GoPro have actually also updated the GoPro Labs firmware, and it is now based on this latest revision, which is 1.6, and I can't tell you how fantastic that is, because the previous version of GoPro Labs was based on the 1.50 firmware, I believe, which means those people were having the split screen issues on the GoPro footage that was there in the GoPro Labs firmware. And unfortunately, there was problems with offloading files, etc. I couldn't use the GoPro Labs firmware for the Hero 9. Now I can, because it's based on this latest firmware release. So that is just absolutely fantastic. And GoPro have actually put in a few new features on the GoPro Labs firmware. One of which, it was kind of there in the last one, which was the overlays. You could actually burn a little logo into your overlays, but now they actually allow you to upload an image and have that there, which I can imagine will be handy for vloggers who want to do quick edits but have maybe their website name in the lower left hand corner or something like that. So yeah, there are a couple of new features there that are really, really handy, including one of them is actually a sound meter. So instead of just having your GoPro start automatically when your vehicle or you reach a certain speed, now you can actually do it at a certain decibel level. And for pilots like myself, that's going to be really handy, because when I have the GoPros attached to the wings of the airplane, and sometimes, you know, there might be a problem, like I can't get to my phone, I don't have the remote with me, but by enabling basically a decibel level at which the GoPro starts recording, it means I'm not wasting battery going all the way, like taxiing from the hangar to the run-up. Now I can actually set a decibel level, so when I'm doing the run-up and ready to go onto the runway, as soon as I rev that engine, that's it, the GoPro will start recording. So there are some fantastic new features there, and I just recommend that if you have not updated your GoPro to version 1.6, which was released today on June 22nd, that you go ahead and you actually update that software now, because believe me, it is well worth it. It actually makes your GoPro usable. Now, a word of warning, and that is the GoPro audio dropouts, or some people call it the clicking and, you know, popping noise. That unfortunately has not been fixed yet, and GoPro are still looking into this. Whether or not they can actually fix it with a firmware update remains to be seen. There's a lot of different theories about that, and when GoPro's solution is let your camera warm up for 2 minutes to fix the issue, it kind of points to possibly a hardware failure. So we'll just have to wait and see what GoPro can do about that. But, you know, that might not be fixable with firmware, but let's not count our chickens before they've hatched, because GoPro have, you know, fixed this camera with this firmware update, and who knows what else they can do. So thankfully, a little bit late, it is June 22nd, but finally the GoPro is actually much more reliable. And, you know, thank you GoPro if you're watching this, because I was so frustrated this morning trying to download those files. I was actually thinking, I can't recommend this camera to people, it's just not reliable. And hey, you went and released an update and it worked out fantastically. So, like I said, I cannot stress enough to people, if you have a GoPro Hero 9, download this firmware update today. Hopefully that video basically had some information that proved useful, and if you could click on the like button, I'd appreciate it. And hey, subscribe to the channel, because I actually do have some ideas for some more GoPro tip videos, including walking you through those firmware lab updates and showing you the best way how to use them. So hey, stick around and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.